often, and that really played to their favor. And then balance their offense. They relied too much on their outsides. They need to get those middles involved.
Yeah, Carter and Carlson really had to carry a heavy load of the sets last night for Kansas State. They ended up with a combined 46 kills, but Wildcats would prefer to be spreading the wealth, so to speak. Eggleston on the left gets it started for Texas. K-State, as they did last night, getting a touch with their block and starting the rally. Back to Eggleston, who had a big night last night for Texas. In the end, the fourth of the fifth sets really headlined by Eggleston. Butler's first swing. It's dug out by K-State. Carlson on the left. And into the net were the Longhorns. Point and kill for Carlson, and a good start for Kansas State.
Yeah, really exciting for K-State. They are able to really stay in these rallies. They really prolonged them. Texas is used to being terminal early on, but K-State has really been playing some great defense. Carlson
last night in her first match in nearly 2 weeks after missing the West Virginia trip due to contact tracing with COVID-19. Carlson, 6'4", redshirt junior out of Woodbury, Minnesota, already a graduate student for the Wildcats. Blocked on the far side, taken down by Butler and by Phillips. Huge block that Carlson's going up against.
Yeah, Texas really has a nice lineup there with Phillips and Butler up there, and that really made a big difference in that fourth set for Texas last night.
6'4" and 6'5" up there. Service a bit long, service errors and service aces were a storyline in last night's match for both teams. Kansas State really did well with their serve, totaling 9 aces to only 3 errors.
Yeah, that's going to be huge for Texas not to let K-State take advantage of those free points.
Talked about Butler earlier and in their open about how Texas was unable to distribute to their middles much. A lot of that due to K-State's serving. A rare misplay by the Longhorns. Turns out another point for K-State and a good start for the purple-clad Wildcats tonight. Texas in the whites.
Yeah, an interesting thing to see how Texas responds. They haven't had a 5-set match yet this year. K-State is a little bit more seasoned in that area.
Already 4 of the 5 matches that K-State's played this year have been 5-setters. They are 3-2 on the season. Carter. Blocked back, and on the way down, Butler rejects Carter.
And you see an adjustment Texas is making already. K-State took big advantage of the little hole right over the block of Texas, but they're ready for that, and they're having their blockers play that ball, and that's going to be key for them because that K-State had a lot of kills off of a nice little off shot right to the heart of the court there.
It was Asia O'Neal, not Butler, who had rotated in at the net. Carter tries to throw into the corner, covered by O'Brien. Carter tools the block.
One of the exciting things about Aaliyah Carter is she has so many shots in her toolbox there. She, tipped one down the line. That didn't work. This time she tools the block. It's really exciting to see all the options she has available.
Yeah, that shot variation even comes in the same rally. That's the part that's so amazing from Carter here in the early going of her career. Not a great set, and K-State nearly able to block it down. Good job by the libero O'Brien to get in there. K-State to the right side to Bonde, popcorned across the top. Diving save by Morris, the libero for K-State. Wildcats have gone to Bonde quite a bit on the right side here early, and it's Eggleston off that block, throwing it to get the point and kill.
Really interesting. You watch Eggleston on the outside, and she's been trapped several times already early in this game, and I noticed that a little bit with the match last night. She's really having to work hard to get some of her shots, and K-State's putting up a huge block in front of her every time that they can, knowing her capabilities.
Eggleston, the All-American a season ago to serve, had 5 errors in last night's match. Fernholz in front of the setter.
I think that's key for K-State tonight, is to get those middles involved, and if they can do that early in this game, then that'll be really important and really open up those outsides more as the game progresses.
Another one of the freshmen for this Wildcat bunch, 23rd ranked recruiting class. K-State's so excited about this freshman group. Skylar Fields with a big run up.
That was a nice choice by the setter for Texas get that quick set to beat that block, and they've got Martin against Fields there. That's a good matchup for them.
Fields dealing with the setter, has no trouble splitting the block. Back to the right side for K-State. Popped over. And Fernholz has her second.
Smart play by Fernholz. She was already behind the setter, and she just transitioned and almost hit just like a right side hitter out there. Martin setting out of the middle gave her another option, because surely Texas was thinking that ball was going out to Carter on the outside.
Fernholz, 6'1" freshman from Miller, South Dakota, where she was the Gatorade Player of the Year, high school All-American. Player of the Year in South Dakota should qualify. Butler with the left hand. Drew Cook got a hand on it for K-State. Carlson blocked, but out.
Great communication for K-State. That's so important. I noticed, you know, K-State really communicating well. I noticed Texas struggled with that a little bit early in the match, and some easy points for K-State off of miscommunication errors.
Eggleston, a pipe shot that's popped up right near the net, and it'll end up being a kill for Eggleston.
Yeah, they're going to use her all over the court when she's in the back row. She's still an offensive threat for Texas.
Such a great talent. #2 overall high school recruit a couple of years ago, former freshman of the year in the league. Last year, first team unanimous all Big 12 selection. K-State not able to handle the serve, and an ace for the Longhorns. So 1 ace, 1 error for Texas. Gabriel, the setter, through the back row again to serve after that ace a moment ago. Fields. Martin has her pick, so go to Fernholz, who's got the hot hand.
Wow, that was a heavy ball. You could hear it from clear up here. That's one of the things they like about Fernholz, is her ability to hit behind the setter. Somewhat of a tradition for K-State to have a middle that can hit that shot.
Service error by the Wildcats will give momentum and side out back to Texas. Fernholz will rotate out. Fernholz had a fantastic start against Iowa State and really peaked against West Virginia as well. Both she and Archibong had great matches against West Virginia. 12 kills in the second match against West Virginia for Fernholz. 8 digs, 7 blocks, so nearly a triple-double for her. Last night really shut down by Texas. Eggleston is dug, but over the net, and misplay by Texas. What a save of the back line. Initially by Yosia, but nobody else could get there. And the point will go to K-State.
I definitely noticed Texas has made a little bit of adjustment in their back line on defense. They're staying home a little bit more instead of rotating their defense in the back row. Already seeing much more touches by their defense tonight.
Yosia had 8 digs in the match last night, tying a season high. Eggleston over Archibong and Bonde.
Yeah, nice, a quicker set for Eggleston, so she's able to beat that K-State block. She is so versatile.
6'2", 10, looking for 10 straight double-figure kill matches dating back to last season. Archibong rolled by Eggleston.
Yes, such a big block. And they do such a nice job when they block of pressing those hands over late, and that really seals that block.
Great serve by O'Brien, touched home by Eggleston, and just like that, the Longhorns push back in front.
Yeah, much better serving by Texas right now. They're attacking that service line much better than last night. They made many errors early on that really hurt them.
At one point had just 3 aces and 6 errors with serve. Recovered to have a split more even around 8 and 10. K-State goes back to Carlson. Bryn has her 3rd kill, and K-State gets the side out.
Yeah, it's a great thing about Bryn Carlson. She's just your steady rock on the outside. She's smart with the ball. That veteran out there for K-State, really the lone veteran out there, does a nice job hitting those high hands.
For a team that struggled last season, the Wildcats, with depth and just an overall, now they have plenty of depth. Carlson and Carter have carried the water on the outside, but Jaden Nemhard, who has played well in relief of Carlson, hasn't been able to get time on the floor, but it seems like it's raised everyone's game.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, really, for K-State. And, you know, I think Coach Fritz and the staff for K-State really like the competitive nature of this young K-State team.
On the other side, Texas, not a team that's overly deep. So the question today was, after playing their first 5-set match of the season, what would it look like for them tonight, playing back-to-back nights? So far, so good. O'Neal.
I definitely think Texas came into this match tonight a little more focused. You can see it in their play already. They're out here to win this match. They're not going to let what happened last night happen again.
Fell behind early, but on a roll now. 5-1 run for Texas to have them up by 2. Service there by Peterson.
Yeah, I really noticed with K-State in watching the match last night just how well prepared they were with an off week last weekend, you know, and that really allowed them to prepare for Texas. And you could tell just strategically they knew what they needed to do to compete.
Eggleston on the left side, the point off the touch. Well, even after dropping the first set, I think that was the interesting part was, you know, most people on paper, Texas heavily favored coming in. K-State, you don't know a lot about the Wildcats, even though they're ranked 13th in the country. A lot of that just due to the shortage of teams playing. The Wildcats have played well. Eggleston with an ace, splitting a couple of backline defenders for the Wildcats. The point being, Texas wins the first. You could think, well, that's just Texas, here we go. But to the Wildcats' credit, they were able to battle throughout the second. And Susie Fritz's squad actually took a 2-1 lead on Texas last night, forcing the Longhorns to have to win the 4th and the 5th.
Yeah, is that a function of K-State just having that kind of attitude, or is it a function of, you know, just youth and not knowing better?
We'll find out. Timeout on the floor on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. Manhattan have gone 5 sets between Texas and K-State, including last night.
Yeah, there's just something about Manhattan and K-State and Texas matching up that they have been very competitive against Texas at home.
And by the way, as K-State with the time out, that was immediate timeout, gets a kill again for Fernholz, who's had a great first set.
Yeah, I really like them getting those middles involved early. I think that's important. Again, I think as the match progresses, we get into some longer rallies to open up those outside hitters.
Talking about the series, K-State not the only team in the Big 12 that has struggled against the Longhorns. Texas in conference play since the start of 2011 is 143-8 against the Big 12. So the Wildcats not alone, I think, in some of those lopsided numbers.
They have been very dominant over the last several years. You know, just here recently, Baylor's really stepped into the picture. Iowa State's kind of been up there, but really no one's been able to hang with Texas in the last several years.
Baylor a challenge last year. That squad led by Yosiana Presley, ranked number 2 in the nation this year. Winning last night over Oklahoma, or Texas Tech, I should say, in 5 sets. Presley had 27 kills, and they straight set tonight so far against the Lady Raiders. Another ace for the Longhorns. Carter on the left side, hard into the block. And just off the block, it falls behind for a kill from Butler.
Yeah, that set wasn't quite in rhythm for Butler, but she does a nice job. She's such a high angle when she jumps to just slam that ball down just past K-State's block.
3 aces in this first set for Texas to go along with hitting 400. It's not a recipe if you're the Wildcats to try and pull an upset. Block on Fernholz, so the Longhorns waiting on that one. Fields and Butler.
Look at this huge K-State block. Fields does a nice job.
Carter trying to go to the work on the block. Did not get the touch on the throw. And they do get the touch, I should say, and then K-State will get the point.
Again, smart play by Carter. That set wasn't quite what she needed, so she just used the hands of Texas.
Drew Cook to serve. Sophomore from Wisconsin, Sheboygan. Field to the left. Morris digs, but over and out.
Texas seems a little bit more crisp here tonight. Definitely more terminal at the net. You know, K-State was able to get a lot more touches last night, extend those rallies. You can see that a lot of times Texas is siding out right away.
Good serving by the Longhorns, it feels like, as well here in this first set. Just about everything has gone right for Texas. They have played well after an early start that saw them down 7-4. They have since recovered and have been dominant on both sides of the net. Another big block by the Longhorns.
That's a good sign for Texas. Breon Butler getting more involved in the block. She was a little quiet last night for the Longhorns.
6 blocks in this first set for Texas. See the aces as well. That's also been a storyline. Carlson trying to catch high hands, did not. Arguing that perhaps there was a touch. We'll see if K-State offers up a challenge or not.
Well, they haven't been able to get into their offense, although their middles are more involved tonight. But they've made a few more errors that has really provided that gap for Texas. So really for K-State, young team again, you want to look at them just, okay, let's settle in here. We're early in the match, and just don't let that kind of process start to cloud the mind a little bit.
Don't mentally check out. The 5th set last night was an utterly dominant showing by the Longhorns, and they've somewhat continued that here to the start of this match. 3rd error by the Longhorns. They do have 3 aces here. That 5th set in last night's match, Texas hit .316, K-State hit negative .087. Service error after just getting the side out is not the way you want to go if you're the Wildcats.
No, trading errors will not help K-State get back into this set.
Yosia back to serve, the freshman from California, Redondo Union High School in Torrance. Martin trying to kill it, got blocked, but it goes out. Point Cats. And Martin to the back row to serve. Bonde will get up front, but Martin in the back row. So you got Archibong, Bonde, Carlson, the front line for K-State.
Yeah, good matchup for K-State with Bonde up in the right front.
And Gabriel the setter also in the front row for Texas. Eggleston tips. And it falls between Martin and Morris. Miscommunication allows Texas to get the set point.
That's so frustrating. Great up by Archibong up at the net with that off play by Eggleston, and just miscommunication. Can't do that.
Wildcats just trying to get out of this first set. Regroup for the second. Phillips ends the first with authority. Texas a dominant first set, 25-15. We'll talk about it when we return on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. That's no surprise. She came in averaging 5 kills a set, hitting .343 from the left, which are just stupid good numbers.
It's unbelievable. It really is.
See the numbers on Eggleston, 6'2" junior. Also a national team member for the for Texas and for Team USA.
Really, what I like watching, you know, her play is she's a very positive person. When Texas got down last night, not once did she point fingers or turn anybody. She was very positive, you know, in keeping that team kind of morale going, and then she just got to work.
Native of Brentwood, Tennessee. Fernholz inexplicably took that away from Martin as the ball was headed towards her setter, and K-State gives up an ace to start the second.
You just feel like that back line for K-State is just not on the same page right now, communication-wise. They were so in sync last night. We'll see how they can adjust here early in this second set.
Well, give credit to Texas because they only have 3 aces, but they are serving tough. Yosia with another tremendous float serve, and K-State's back line, which has been the kind of their, as Susie Fritz likes to call them, their littles, their fabulous littles of the back row. They are struggling right now in serve receive. K-State able to transition that into a kill with Carlson.
Yeah, not a great first contact for K-State, but nice job by Martin to get that ball out to Carlson in good rhythm, and she's just able to split that block.
Carlson, 4th kill. In the middle, Butler right over the top of Archibong.
Yeah, credit Texas, you know, they just are so long and they're able just to beat that block. They have such a high trajectory on their attacking.
Another good serve, this one from O'Brien. Martin has to just fling it all the way over to Carlson. It's popped up and touched down by Texas's Phillips. 4 hits on the Wildcats, though. It'll work out for the Longhorns. And in some respects, it feels like Texas took last night personal and have come out tonight to make a point to the nation.
It really does. You get that sense. They are on a mission right now to take care of business.
Better serve receive, sets up Archibong, who finds success in the corner.
A good set choice by Shelby Martin for K-State. Get that slide going, give Bryn Carlson a break. She just slips it right through Eggleston's hands.
See the athleticism of Archibong, who had to hang in the air.
It's not easy to do. She made it look easy.
Out of Mill Valley in Kansas City, redshirt sophomore. Didn't even play middle for the Wildcats initially, blocking air on the Cats. O'Neal gets the credit for the
a little trickery there. They moved Fields in front of the setter, and O'Neal came back behind. Not something we saw even once, I think, last night.
O'Neal, who is out of the Dallas area, South Lake Carroll, redshirt sophomore. People forget about O'Neal quite a bit. Again, just like Fields, you lose in the conversation. Texas so good all the way across the board. Eggleston tips, palm save, and then O'Neal to be down. That looked to be a good up by K-State.
Oh yeah, that will definitely be challenged, I think, by Coach Fritz.
Even from up here, that looked to be a pretty good save by Martin. She immediately reacted to Mary Farragher's call. No challenge, though, by the Wildcats.
The fans are a little surprised.
Indeed. And again, the Wildcats in serve receive, unable to get a clean set. And Susie Fritz wants a timeout. We'll take it as well. Texas with a fast start to the second. 7-2 Longhorns on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. Eggleston and the Longhorns with another quick start in the second set after going 5 with 13th ranked K-State last night. The Longhorns have made a statement in the opening 2 sets so far here in the Purple Palace, Bramlage Coliseum in the Little Apple. Looking every bit the part of a national championship contender, which we won't know about until the spring, of course.
I don't think that was the right choice on setting with that huge block of Eggleston.
A little difficult for
Archibong. Yeah.
It is a tall task, literally. Martin to the left to Carlson, got a big swing. Overpass coming, Archibong able to finish under the arms of O'Neal.
That smart play by Archibong, getting up there early, just beating O'Neal's hands to the net. Such an important part of this K-State team. Archibong is just her energy that she provides. And you can see she's just getting better as a volleyball player match by match.
Had played just 10 sets in her career over 2 years before this season starting at MB1 in place of Peyton Williams, who was an all Big 12 two-sport star. Jaden Nemhart has come in for K-State out the outside in place of Carlson. So the Wildcats do change it up a little bit and bring in Nemhart. And as Carlson came out, she stopped, and Susie Fritz made a point to talk to her. So I wonder if it was, hey, we're not taking you up because of anything you're doing.
Right.
Just trying to get something changed up. But Nemhard now in the match, the other freshman outside hitter who had such a magical 2 days in Morgantown against West Virginia.
Yeah, you know, at this point, I think Coach Fritz is going to try whatever she can. And, you know, it's a great opportunity for these young players to get some great experience against a good volleyball team.
Nemhard 43 kills over 2 days in those matches against the Mountaineers, including 24 in a match against West Virginia. Nemhard shows that fire on the left.
That's exactly what she's capable of doing and showed in that West Virginia match. She's got a lot of range too and a high trajectory and is able to cut that shot inside that Texas block.
Well, a native of Keller, Texas, you know this one's important to Nemhard. Fields comes right back with a cross-court parry.
Smart shot, deep shot to that line, that left back line shot. That's a great shot, so hard to defend.
O'Neal, who has struggled a bit with serve this year, 3 aces, 11 errors. Puts it on the shoulder of Hinkle. Nemhard well off the net, but gets the kill off the block. 2 swings, 2 kills for Nemhard.
Yeah, again, that fearlessness of the freshman that Coach Fritz has been talking about, that she loves so much. They just will get up there and swing away. You know, you think about Texas, they're, you know, classically known as a big team, big block in front of you, and she's going up there and swinging lights out.
Butler tipping. Martin diving to get it and came underneath the net.
It's much better effort by K-State. You see they're flying around a little bit more, a little more energy. It's exactly what they need if they want to try to stay in this second set.
Running right now with 2 freshman outside hitters against the #1 team in the country, Wildcats.
And a freshman middle blocker in the front line too.
Underclassmen all over the place for the Wildcats. Martin forced to try and dump that over after the high serve receive. Butler with a full swing, no block in front of her, finishes, and the Longhorns extend the lead to a half a dozen.
Yeah, Gabriel was moved clear forward, and you see she still stays with Breon Butler.
Cats as K-State falls behind by 6. Well, we talked in passing about Oklahoma and what they did, and Baylor and what they've done on the scoreboard of the Big 12. Let's take a look at those scores we talked about last night. Jayhawks and Sooners went 5 last night, but Oklahoma prevailed. They swept the Jayhawks today, so won both of those 2 matches. West Virginia down.
Side hitters in the Big 12 Conference, it is phenomenal, really, if you look at it across the board. You know, Eggleston, and you talk about Presley, and now you have Aaliyah Carter right there in the mix.
No doubt K-State's freshman outside hitters, Carter and Nemhard, even Carlson, who's played well. He will be in the talk and the conversation across the league. Talented outside hitters in the Big 12 Conference. So battle above the net, won by K-State.
You always love to see your setter get up there against a big, tall blocker and win that joust. And the key is just to push last. And Martin does a nice job of doing that.
So Carlson will come in here, so no Carter for K-State. Instead, it's Nemhard and Carlson. So a little bit of a change there for K-State. Butler. Again, straight down in front of the back line of K-State. Butler heating up. 3 kills for Butler now.
Yeah, I think probably a big focus for Texas when they were talking about the match tonight was really getting those middles. Breon Butler is such a threat at the net, and really you want her attacking, and that will only help Eggleston as the season moves on.
Service error by the Longhorns, their 4th. Yosia has struggled with serve this season, but had 2 aces last night. And the Cats come right back with a service error. No aces, 3 errors for K-State with their serve, so they've been off their game from behind the end line.
Yeah, Fernholz's 2nd error tonight from the service line.
Susie Fritz mentioned it in the postgame that serve receive was a big factor for K-State in the 4th and the 5th as to why they couldn't stay with Texas. It has been a big part of the reason why the Longhorns have run away with this one so far. Archibong unable to finish. Dig by the Wildcats. Eggleston calling for it and finishes.
Yeah, Texas doing a much better job defensively tonight compared to last night. We really noticed their defense was rotating a lot, and that left some big open gaps for K-State, but they've adjusted a little bit. They're staying home a little bit more and really have better coverage of that back line.
Carlson dug up by O'Brien. This time Carlson gets it off the hand of O'Brien and picks up her 5th.
Credit Archibong there. She held that middle blocker, O'Neal, just enough to give Carlson a little gap in there in that big Texas block.
Well, Leah Carter now checks in for K-State, so all 3 outside hitters playing for the Wildcats. Could be Bonde, who is seeing some time diminish. Oh, what a shot by O'Neal. A dagger up the right line in the corner.
Again, we talked about that problem K-State has with some options. They have options, which isn't bad, but you know, that ability to kind of move these hitters around, and you almost have this 3-way rotation with your outside hitters that can play a little right, a little left.
And that rotation burns K-State as they get out of rotation. Almost like a pre-snap penalty in football. And out of rotation on K-State, and a free point for Texas. Carter, way high on the shot. Not quite the same night for Carter that she had last night. 2 kills, 3 errors on 7 swings. Carlson on the right. Blocks Eggleston.
And that might be the reason why. A big block for K-State.
A little bit of a warning to Archibong, who is giving a little bit of the business to Texas after that.
You love that energy for K-State. They need a little bit of that right now, even if she gets a warning.
Big hole for the Wildcats. O'Neal is blocked. Archibong.
You see Texas trying to maybe take advantage of Nembhard, not as experienced out there blocking on that slide, but Nembhard does a nice job of closing that, or Archibong closes it, but setting it up so Archibong can get there and get the block.
And now an ace. So for the first time tonight, a little bit of life from the spunky Wildcats. And a timeout for the Longhorns. K-State with a 3-0 run forces the Texas timeout. Talked about the youth of the Wildcats, and this is exactly what year's class. It's a freshman now, 23rd ranked class in the country. It's a different level than Texas. It's not the same type of team. You're not going after the same kids, these two programs. The Longhorns are plucking the best of the best. They're recruiting against the Nebraskas of the world, the Penn States of the world, Stanfords. At the top of the national top 25, but Wildcats have tried to hang in there. In a best of 5, Texas with a dominant showing in the first set, winning 25-15, hit 400 with no errors. They're hitting 350 in this set with 3 errors. Eggleston out of the timeout, dug out by Morris. Nembhard again for K-State, and it's a 4-0 run.
You just almost wonder, how is she getting that past that big Texas block? But she's cutting it just inside of O'Neal's arms. a nice sharp angle and has that trajectory. It's beating that deep defender.
Eggleston, a changeup of her shot works out. So instead of the power, a little bit of a throw to the middle.
You saw that last night as they were trying to claw their way back in the match. More of those sorts of shots from Eggleston and Fields as well.
Another point for the Wildcats. Archibong will rotate out, and in some respects you don't want it. Archie's played so well for K-State with the energy.
Yeah, really great energy. You see she's kind of yelling across that net again. She's got that fire. She wants to bring this team back in this game.
Long way to go yet for the Wildcats, but at least a little bit of fight after being dominated for the better part of 2 sets. Fields tries to throw into the block, and it works out.
Fernholz went down blocking there initially, got up, wasn't quite sure. A little slow on that last block.
Look, her feet got tangled up underneath the net. Despite the run by K-State, Texas still in the lead by 6 here. In command in the second set after winning handily in set 1. Carter from the right. Texas comes right back with Fields off the top of the block. Back-to-back kills for Fields.
And one thing that there's no stat for, but I've really noticed just from the angle that we're setting at here tonight, just how kind of almost trapped these outside hitters for Texas have been a few times, Eggleston and Fields, but their athletic ability to still, most people would have to tip that ball to get it over the block, but they have that ability to still go up there and put up a nice attack.
Nemhart changes up her shot after some hard swings early and gets another kill. Nemhart's come off the bench for K-State in this second set and has delivered 4 kills.
Yeah, Shook was in the game to block. We noticed she came in last night in that 5th set and made an impact, but K-State was not fooled there. Nice tip over the block.
Getting out of Keller, Texas, just north of Fort Worth, a suburb of the Metroplex. Back to Butler. When Texas needs it most, they're going to the middle.
And that is really Gabriel right there. She deserves that point, credit for that point. You know, she's got 2 freshmen and a new, setter for K-State up there at the net and is just able to give Butler one-on-one.
You can see the big grin from Butler after that one. 9 kills last night. It's not as if Butler was completely absent from the match. Hit 350. Just wide of the mark on the attack for K-State. And Texas nearing another 25-15 win. They won by that score in the first. But it never felt like K-State was ever at any point in the game in that first set. This set has seen K-State shown flashes of being a little bit more competitive. But they are still facing set point.
Yeah, just K-State is a little out of sync. You just can see they're not quite communicating or getting those touches to each other like they need to be successful against a good team like Texas.
Nemhart rifles a blast up the left line. How about a 5-kill set for Nemhart here in the second, coming off the bench for K-State. 5 kills on 9 swings with only 1 error. She leads K-State hitting .444.
Yeah, and that's against Texas's big block on that right side.
She'll take a breather as K-State on the second set point for Texas serves it up. And it's Butler, fittingly, who ends the second set. 25-15, 25-16 for Texas. They lead 2 sets to none in Manhattan against the 13th ranked Wildcats on Big 12 Now. I'm just looking for a spark, I would think, here. Yeah,
definitely. And yeah, Tiana was definitely the kind of, I think the thought was she was going to take that job, but she's kind of been battling through some things, and Martin's been playing well for the Wildcats.
You can see that right wrist taped up for Adams Cotton-Noe. That's probably a big reason why she hasn't been able to go in the battle with Martin at that center spot. Well, we'll see what K-State can do with some different people on the floor. Megan Vernon, another player that K-State thought that they might have in the middle, taking over. She played as the MB2 last season behind Peyton Williams, number 14 in purple. But as you see Butler get the kill and rotate out for Texas, the Longhorns start third with a 1-0 lead. Vernon just beat out by Archibong and Fernholz, the freshman, but Vernon was very much in the mix, the native of Canada.
Yeah, she's got great blocking and leaping abilities, and that's what puts her on the court. She did such a phenomenal job for the Wildcats last year, but really working to try to progress her offensive game, and that's been the struggle for Vernon right now, is just, you know, who can fill that role for the Wildcats, because they really need that offensive presence from their middle blockers to be successful.
Fernholz has 4 kills in the middle tonight. Speaking of that, hitting 250. Archibong 3 kills, but hitting just 167. So there is some room to be improvement there. As we see Mary Farragher talking with the scores table. One of the things about volleyball here in 2020, as we look at Vernon there, as we've been talking about her, is with the teams not switching ends of the courts, it has thrown off, I've had many conversations, the statting systems for K-State and for many others across the Big 12, because it's so used to the way you input the stats, teams switching ends of the court.
Yeah, it's a big part of that.
That's right,
yeah.
Each game and each set, but that's not the case in this COVID age that we live in. Yosia too long with a serve and an air for K-State, gives them the side out. 5th air for the Longhorns, 5 aces. You see Bryn Carlson in the left part of our screen down on the bottom talking with Susie Fritz, so Carlson may return back for K-State at some point. Eggleston touched on the block. Nemhard gets a shot. Eggleston tried to cut that right down the net. Unfortunately got too much of it.
Yeah, it's a great idea by Eggleston. But, you know, K-State doing a much better job with blocking. They're touching more balls. That's giving them an opportunity here to turn some plays.
O'Neal touched initially, that slowed it down. Now the scoreboard says that it's 2-0 and not 2-2. Was K-State in a lineup error that took away 2 points?
Yeah, I was just wondering that same thing. Oh.
I think that is the case. So somehow the Wildcats, almost like batting out of order in baseball, have 2 points erased and now have to go back to work down 2-0. And a mistake by Bonde on the swing puts Texas up 3-0. So I guess if you're the Longhorns, yes, you're not pleased about the long delay, but sure, you'll take a 2-0, now 3-0 lead instead of 2-0.
Coach Fritz having a nice long talk with Bryn Carlson over there on the bench.
Nemhard on the left side. Well, on a night where Texas has pretty much owned the conversation, Nemhard is going to be a nice silver lining for K-State.
Yeah, just so exciting. And I've been hearing, the coaches have been telling me the last year or two that there's some very talented outside hitters coming into the program, and I've been excited to watch them play, and they've lived up to that excitement.
Well, for those that are K-State fans that are watching, it's been a while since the Wildcats have had a star outside hitter. They've had, I mean, Kylie Zumock, take nothing away from her, fantastic record setter holder for the Wildcats, All-American for the Wildcats. Carlson in her own right has played well on the left, but a superstar on the outside and the left that you can just, when in doubt, throw it out left and they can go hunt a kill for you. It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw some big glimpses of that last night. And Carter, and then right now watching Nemhard, just phenomenal ability. And they're just freshmen.
Yeah, that's the part that's scary for the rest of the league and exciting if you're a Wildcat fan, even through a difficult night like tonight against the Longhorns, as talented and national championship caliber as they are. Now the good thing, if you're K-State, if you could somehow muddy through this abbreviated 2020 season and find yourself eligible for postseason play come springtime, is the showing enough to get selected for that abbreviated NCAA tournament?
It's going to be really interesting how that all plays out.
Is it just conference champs? Is it, at-large berths? How many matches are played in the spring? Is it any different than what we're dealing with right now?
Yeah, and that field is already, limited somewhat. It's down to 48. Is that correct?
Yep.
From 64. So it's definitely much smaller, and so that window, that opportunity for teams like K-State, I mean, really have to push and really try to get some games in the spring that can, up that ranking for you, really, because your Big 12 conference play is pretty phenomenal. Baylor, Texas, Oklahoma, like you're playing some high quality volleyball teams. You just want to add to that resume.
I don't envy the committee who now has, instead of just 3 months of looking at volleyball nonstop, now you're going to have to be trying to go back to the memory bank 6 months ago when you get to the spring and think of, okay, what did I see from Texas in October of last year? And
how will that gap for these teams,
Sure, the layoff,
yeah, just how will that work? And, you hope no one gets injured, and there's so many factors to think about. It makes your head almost spin thinking about it.
Well, teams are so different in the spring anyway. There is a spring season in volleyball. It's not talked about as much. It's kind of like baseball, who plays a fall season and does it more internally instead of externally with teams. But in volleyball, they do actually travel and play other teams, but usually that's where you're experimenting with lineups, you're getting some other players some playing time. Your seniors have already somewhat moved on. You're not playing, even though they're still in school, they're not necessarily playing for you in the spring, because you're kind of looking to the fall to build for that.
Yeah, and you add the extra year of eligibility, almost makes this, a free year to kind of go out there and see what you got.
Megan Vernon with her first kill of 2020.
That's a great sign right there. Like I said, Vernon, something she's really been working on is her offensive threat. And that's great to get her involved early here in this third set.
From Toronto area in Canada, two-time provincial high jump champion. K-State unable to get the second touch.
It was a great setup by Carter and Vernon on that block. It made Breon Butler cut that across her body, and Tiana did a nice job of digging that ball. Just couldn't quite turn it.
Service error by the Longhorns.
That has been a little bit more of an issue here in this third set for Texas.
No aces, 2 errors in this set. As you see the numbers on the night, 6 errors overall. They do have 5 aces. K-State serve nowhere near what they had last night. 1 ace, 3 errors. Last night it was 9 aces and 3 errors. Butler full head of steam. K-State got a triple block, but no one can cover. And Butler with another kill. 9 for Butler, hitting almost 700.
See, Adams has to reach out with that hand that she's been having some troubles with to try to pancake. Just not able to get that hand quite there.
Another service error.
That's got to be frustrating for Texas.
Yeah, Yosia has had issues with serve. I mentioned that before. She had the 2 aces last night, but numbers-wise, overall in the season, Yosia has struggled to keep that serve in play. 5 aces, 16 errors coming into play tonight with the serve. She has 2 aces, or 2 errors tonight. Peterson, who has an ace. Picking on the freshman Morris. Bonde with a tip. O'Neal on it. Eggleston tools the block. 13 kills for Eggleston.
Eggleston can be really sneaky with her arm swing and shoot that ball across her body and use that block.
Nembhard through the block. Team high 7 kills for Nembhard.
Yeah, great shot by her. Big block in front of her, but she just hits those high hands and able to sneak it right in front of O'Neill's block.
7 kills, hitting 385 from the left side for Nembhard in 2 sets.
Yeah, she hasn't slowed down since West Virginia, that's for sure.
O'Neill set the tone of the first set, and she has not wavered. O'Neill and Butler, the 1-2 punch in the middle, causing issues for K-State tonight, and the offense for the Longhorns clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, you look at that front line, you know, rotation after rotation for Texas, so many weapons at the net.
Longhorns are hitting 500 in this set and 446 for the night. Nembhard dug up by O'Brien. Fernholz, there was a touch called, and she gets the point and kill.
Yeah, she hits that deep corner. I think that shot was inbounds. Heads up play by Adams Kalanoe. Get that ball back there and not push it outside. Texas was expecting that. That block was a little late.
I think you're right. I think it was in regardless. Blocked by Kalanoe and Fernholz.
Kalanoe is a little bit taller than Martin and puts up a little bit bigger block for K-State. Nice job closing that by Fernholz.
Wildcats climb to within a point. Again, the block was there, but this time Fields changes her shot, gets the point and kill. Fields with 7.
Yeah, you saw a big difference with that block. K-State, instead of pressing low, reached high on that tip shot by Fields.
Asia O'Neil to serve. Thrown out left for Carter, off the block.
Smart, taking advantage of Gabriel up there. A little bit smaller block for her.
See, Butler was complaining that Carter came through underneath the net and made contact. Tower official did not make that call, nor the floor official. Eggleston blocked as she tried to go up the pipe.
Yeah, that's what Vernon can do for you. She's got great leaping ability and she's got great eyes. She stays patient and then jumps late there and is able to put up a nice block on Eggleston.
Overpass by K-State.
Fernholz nonetheless.
Finished by Fields. A great upbill by Fernholz. Again, a middle being asked to play in the back line after her serve.
Yeah, it's a nice thing about Fernholz. She gets to serve. She has a nice serve. She's had a few errors tonight, but she's a little bit more mobile in the back row, and that ability to be able to dig some balls for K-State will definitely help them out.
Carter gets a big swing. Again, O'Brien with a great dig. Eggleston tries another pipe shot that's dug 100 feet in the air. And Carter finishes the transition rally.
That is such a tough angle to hit as an outside hitter. Your setter is pulled clear, almost back behind you, and you have to really be patient and wait on your approach. But great timing by Carter.
What a find this young lady was for K-State out of Dubuque, Iowa. Conference Player of the Year, track star. Butler in the middle, double-figure kills for Breon Butler.
Such a good set by Gabriel. Vernon was almost there. She made the right read, just a little bit late on her hands.
Butler's listed at 6'4", but it feels like she's 6'6". Just a huge presence at the net. Fading away was Bonde. Back to Butler, throws deep and misses it long. It's her first error of the night.
That was a good idea by Butler to try to hit that deep corner. shot just a little too long. Tied up.
I remember after K-State lost a couple of points at the beginning with some confusion on rotations, it was tied at 2. Then we had that long delay, which they determined that K-State started with some sort of a clerical error, and they took out 2 points off the board. So K-State was at a 2-hole start to begin. Now they lead at the midway point by 1 on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. Kansas State by a point here in this 3rd set, as they try to rebound down 2-0 against the Longhorns. Texas out of the media timeout. Molly Phillips on the right. Haven't called her name much tonight. Didn't get much on that. Eggleston touched by the K-State block. A bump set for Nembhard. She's roofed. Butler and Phillips. What a night for Butler.
Yeah, Butler does a nice job of kind of shutting down that sharp cross shot that Nembhard's been trying to, or been killing all night so far.
Eggleston. Back-to-back points for the Longhorns, who looked very sharp and very much the #1 team in the nation through the first 2 sets. We're off to a good start of the 3rd. K-State rallied, took the lead, but now the Longhorns back-to-back points. Eggleston again. And another shot variance from Eggleston.
Yeah, you know, she can do it all. Her toolbox is big and lots of options for her, and makes her such a threat.
10 career double-doubles, has 1 this season. And that was last night. 20 kills, 14 digs. And there you see her numbers tonight. Part of the reason why she can't put up as astounding numbers is, truthfully, she doesn't play enough. Because Texas wins in 3 sets so often, you're not getting as many attacks or chances to add and pad to those numbers.
Yeah, and when Texas has things going, they have a lot of offensive weapons at the net, and so they don't need her all the time to be this all-star for them, which is, you know, credit to their team. But yeah, her numbers are phenomenal considering those aspects when you really look at it.
Well, Nembhard back-to-back has been blocked by the Longhorns, so that's a couple of attack errors that'll bring down her percentage on what had been a fantastic night. Eggleston again on the left. And suddenly, after K-State took the lead at 15-14, here comes Texas. 5 in a row by the Longhorns. And a substitution for the Wildcats, and this just to try and slow down the onslaught. Nembhard out, Carlson in. So the redshirt junior back in there for K-State. Triple major for the Wildcats academically, and a 4.0 student. She's smart.
Yeah, she is. Working on her master's.
Dump over by K-State, but I think they caught the net. Looked like that was the right call. Vernon followed through on the dump. Right there, hit the tape. Good call by Mary Farragher.
She was frustrated with that one. Wants it back. Good play by her, but just got that net.
Too much follow through. Good block by Eggleston. All Longhorns now 6, make it 7-0 run, and a timeout by K-State.
Yeah, that block for Texas much better tonight. They're reading the setter a little bit better, making better reads at the net, and that's really given them.
Just to get spacing. The Jayhawks, one of the few still playing in a volleyball-only facility.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was kind of reading and noticing that, just watching some of the matches, and you know, you look at like K-State and Texas, and you know, those volleyball facilities are just those classic, pack them in there. You know, that gives you that atmosphere for volleyball that is so fun to be a part of. You know, so certainly moving them to the basketball arena is takes a little bit of that excitement away. It's a little tough. One of the big reasons why I think K-State hasn't moved volleyball over to Bramlage more permanently, but we'll see after this year what changes may be in store for volleyball.
Yep, I think there are aspects of it that they like. You know, the sound, obviously, the music that's being played, the video board, the lights out, the introductions, all of those sort of amenities that we don't see. I think we're going to get a challenge here from Jared Elliott on that last kill by K-State by Bryn Carlson to end what had been a long run for Texas, an 8-0 blitz by the Longhorns.
All against their fingers that are taped white, it can make it really tough to make those determinations.
And for those of you at home that are asking, that's not why they wear the tape on their fingers.
That's right.
to help disguise it. That's not why. That's kind of an old school look. I don't see that as much anymore. The tapes on all knuckles of each finger.
Yeah, Texas definitely has. That's kind of, maybe it's just kind of their routine too. Like you kind of get in the habit of doing that. And
I remember Hawaii back in the day. That
yeah.
was always what you saw, the Rainbow Wahine with Carlson hits the net, match point for Texas. Hawaii was always a perennial power. It was a national champion contender every year. We've gone out there and played and seen it when you were playing as well. You would always see those.
Fun environment.
Oh, man. 10,000 plus there in Honolulu watching those matches. For the match, Texas looking to win it in straight sets. And the Longhorns, a dominant showing. As if there was any